There we have it.
Yay.
Stacey!
Hello.
Hey!
It's lovely having you on, Stacey. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you for inviting me. It's nerve-wracking but fun at the same time.
Yeah,
It'll be exciting. You know what? This is all new for all of us, so it'll be exciting. It'll be exciting, and I'm sure that our viewers, listeners, readers will very much appreciate this interview. So I tell you what, let's just crack on. We've got like questions to ask Stacey. This is like an interview or an interrogation, depending on which way you look at it, right?
I'll let you know at the end which one it was.
I mean, when you see my spotlight coming down, you'll know then which one, right? So I tell you what, Stace, for those who don't know, what do you do and when did you start your business?
Okay, so I am a virtual assistance business. So I support SMEs with all of their administration from different levels and depending on what their business requirements are. So we obviously offer support with systems and processes, streamlining in-house versions or finding external versions for them, whether that's paid or free, getting those set up. But also we do project management. So we've got various services here, but at the moment I'm tweaking items. So I will be offering a few new future services. So watch this space because there'll be some competitions coming. So,
yes. When did you start your business then, Dal?
So I started, well, I'd originally had the business up and running by name and everything else in the background, but obviously I couldn't work on the business and in the business because where I was working full time, my contract didn't allow me to do that. So I officially took the leap at the end of September 2021 and officially rocked the business full time from October 2021.
Wow.
So bit of a turnaround, bit of a change in pace. Originally, but not looked back since. So
no, and for those who don't know, Stacey was a city slicker. She used to work in the financial district of London, Canary Wharf. You know, like we're talking ridiculous hour days for one of the, you know, the biggest banking groups in the world. So this woman knows what she's doing. Absolutely.
Well done. That is amazing. So
it's fab.
On that.
Thank you.
Stacey, I've been on your website and I'm absolutely loving your top tips on how to manage a team successfully. I thought they were great. So my question then is, what is your favorite way to build your teams up and why?
So for me, and I love this aspect because I am very much, as you know, I like to talk and I'm very confident having a chat with somebody. But I think obviously like a business, no one is the same. So you can't treat and work everybody in the same manner. So I like to get to know people's personalities within the business and their role, and also then utilising that skill set for me to be able to work with them to get the most out of them. Because that to me is the only way you're A, going to build the rapport with your team, B, get them and the productivity working in the manner that you wish to get them to be processing everything at. So for me, that's one of the biggest things. And I think that is a skill set in itself that a lot of people don't necessarily have nowadays, or actually think, oh, I need to look at things in a slightly different manner when they're working with a team or a team member, because somebody will go, oh, somebody's not pulling their weight or something along those lines. And actually it's not going to be that case. It's just the fact that they've not figured out how to work with that person on a totally different level.
Yeah, that's a good point, isn't it? Because what essentially is, one of my things is that within a business, everybody has their own individual set of skills. And the trick is essentially finding out what that skill is and how that can help the business grow and flourish. And that's what you do, right? You sit down with each individual team member, you figure out what their unique talents and abilities are, and you push that and help that to create a rounded business. I think that's fantastic, because there's no point like tarring an entire team with the same brush, when actually if you just tap into various skill sets, it could actually make a team flourish more, right?
It's totally. But then you might also find that person's got one set of skill set, but then they've got another you never really knew that existed, because you've just tarred them into that one role when actually you could utilize them for so much more. Or they might then want to move into a different role and use the other set of skill sets. So again, it's such a tricky road to navigate. But I think if it's a skill set you've got, you really need to keep that there and utilize it.
And definitely the point of that as well is to get to know your team, right? Because
Yeah.
if you don't know what's going on in your team's life, then you're not going to quite understand what makes them tick and what skills they've also got, because they're going to have transferable skills even from home life. They're going to have things that are unique to them. So yeah, that's a really, really good point. Thank you for that very much so. So what, obviously, while I was scanning through your website, I found so many more things. And I know this already, that I know with businesses like yours, you've got different things that you can offer, different business support packages on your website ready for people. But I noticed as well that you've got customized packages, which that's brilliant. It's really adaptable, isn't it, to each business, because everyone's different. Everyone's got different needs. But is there a popular standard package that you have, or do you find that a lot of people come to you and they're looking for something bespoke?
I think initially when you have that initial conversation with a company, they have a set idea in their mind. But actually, when you really break it down and understand their physical needs and their pain points, you then have to kind of coach them away from what their original plan was. Because, and that's not to say that you're doing it from a sales point of view. It's actually because you know what's actually going to work for them and their company. And they've been a little bit unrealistic with the hours maybe, or with the way they thought things would be processed, because they come in on say they're on a one track, and you know that they actually need to change track to be on a set, the next train, shall we say. The packages that we offer, we do have retainer packages, and obviously they go with the different hours and the rates that come with those. I would say the most popular package for everybody that starts off is usually the retainer for 10 hours a month. And then obviously as they get to know, and you grow, and they can see what you can do for the company, then they realise they want extra services, and those extra services cannot always be put into that hours. So then they then have to review the hour packages that they're utilising. So if that is the case, and say we went from 10 and then they wanted to jump an extra 2 hours, say, we would then tailor that package to fit in for their business needs. We wouldn't then just say, actually, we're set dead in stone, where it's going to be, you need to jump to 15, you're going to be paying 15, but I'm actually only going to be utilising 12, for example. And I think it's really important, because every business structure is different, the same as personalities that we touched on in the prior question. There is not a one size that fits all. It's the same as when you go to the doctor. Not everybody's body reacts the same way to tablets or different items. There's always there could be something else going on in the background. So I think you always need to bear that in mind. And we do cross over on services as their total package built as well. So if they want partly project management, part admin services, we then create a bespoke package for each client underneath the hours that they want, so that we'll be able to put the proposal together for them so they can see what they're getting.
Amazing.
It's good.
That's great for people, isn't it, to know that that you're adaptable, but also you're using your skills, aren't you? You know what works for businesses and how you've seen other businesses flourish, and they're looking for something, so you're going to be able to help. Sorry, Jess.
I think in line with that, I think what's great about that as well is it's all about affordability. Without meaning to demean the business, ultimately that's a question that's on everybody's minds at the minute. How much money am I going to need to spend? And essentially what's brilliant is that instead of offering 10 or 5 hours and 15 hours, and they don't use 15, so you carry over 3, they're only paying for what they need month on month, right? And I know that you review hours weekly even, you're always keeping track of those hours, and every month you check in with the client and say, well, this is how many you've used this month. I think you need to do this, or I think we should do this. And I think that's a really important thing about making sure that whilst ever your service is bespoke and executive, that it still remains accessible and affordable for people, right? That's a huge thing. And I suppose that segues nicely into the next question, really, about challenges. So, I don't think recently I've spoken to any business owner who's not struggling with something. They've got a challenge, a mountain to climb, or something to face. What are you finding challenging in your business right now?
I would say probably from December's a tricky month anyway, because usually everyone wants to try and get organised for the new year. So they put their inquiries out, but then they don't touch anything to the new year anyway. So from the new year, you'd be in influx for January. But even from January and speaking to other VAs in different various groups, we're all seeing the same kind of item at the moment. You're having people coming through, you're doing the discovery calls, you're getting the proposals prepared and ready and sent, and then nobody's coming back to you. And obviously you get to the point where you're a bit like, okay, what's going on here? And if you can pick up patterns very quickly, you'll see it a lot more quicker than some others, obviously. But there's been a lot of proposals sent and a lot of people coming back to you. So you will follow up and you'll follow up and you'll follow up. But then, as I was talking to somebody else the other day, I think it was you, Jess, actually, from a meeting we were having, that basically, when do you stop wasting your time chasing or looking like a bit of a stalker? And you don't want to be that stalkerish person, because obviously that sometimes you don't know how people are going to view that, because you don't know where their train of thought's going to go. But also as well, how much time are you going to spend them chasing up? It would, you know, you put onto the message, if you've changed your mind, please do let me know, so that we, you know, you just end it then, don't you, for everybody? And that's a bit of a big frustration so far, I'd say, for 2023.
I think that's such an important point to touch on as well, though, because I mean, if you had to take an estimate, if you know, there's the old adage, isn't there, that time is money, right? Now, it's a cliche expression, but it's true, especially in this day and age. If you had to work out roughly how many hours you've spent chasing unresponsive proposals and people who you need information of to make a proposal where you've had a discovery call, how much time would you say that's cost you, as in financially, monetary value wise?
I'd probably say in total hours wise, it's probably taken me around about 3 hours, because when you're looking at emails and stuff and you're doing it, and then I've specifically made the decision myself not to actually follow up anymore.
Is that 3 hours per client or 3 hours across?
3 hours across. If I look at it across, say, a month period, so if you look at January, it's taken 3 hours out of my time, where effectively my time frame could have been utilised elsewhere.
And what's your hourly rate?
It's £37 an hour.
So I mean, we're talking over £100 a month in wasted time, which to me is entirely unacceptable, because we're not living in that economy where we can afford to be wasting that 3 hours. You know, that's 3 hours you could spend on a client, you know.
Sorry, you might be hearing my dog having a breathing.
It's all right, don't worry.
But
sorry.
But also, it's a really good point to mention about time is money and all that, because it's really easy to send an email to say no thank you for your service, or WhatsApp message, or however you've contacted that person initially. Feels like manners have gone out the window.
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
totally.
I would say from obviously when I started to where I am now, I would say etiquette has changed so much. And that's, you know, email etiquette. People just don't feel they have to respond to diary invites, or they don't feel they have to decline them. And, you know, if you're sitting there and you've arranged that meeting and you're waiting for them to arrive for that meeting, and you're sitting there going, well, hold on a minute, where are they? I know I've sent this out. This has all gone through. I didn't get any mail alerts to say that it hadn't been delivered. And you can see they've accepted it, but then they're no longer there. And it's like, well, hold on a minute. So you send the WhatsApp message, because by that point you've already gone through the stage where you've got your contact details. So you're like, hi, I'm on the video. I'm just wondering, are you delayed slightly, or, you know, but then you either don't get the response back straight away, or if somebody does, go, oh, sorry, something else came up, but they don't have the courtesy to let you know. Now, to me, I find that quite rude, but to other people, they might just think, oh, you know, okay, that's just everyday standard now. But I didn't come up in that era when we were learning and when we were working. To me, you always let people know, and it's the same as if you're booking a restaurant table. If you can't make it, you phone and let them know.
Well, I think this is a post-COVID issue, because I think the thing before is that when whilst video conferencing was a thing pre-COVID, it wasn't the thing pre-COVID. You know, if you had a meeting, you met in person, if your client was at the other part of the UK, you travel to see that client, you wouldn't just not turn up. So, you know, this post-COVID culture is that, oh, because it's just a video conference, it's not taking out anybody's time. But the reality is, it's never just the call, never just the meeting. There's preparation time before, and there's usually some preparation after. So I'm going to throw this question in as you know, a kind of an off to the one I just asked. Are you doing anything to basically counter the issue that you're facing there? Have you got any plans to make any changes so that doesn't happen anymore?
Yeah, it's a hard one to look at, to figure out what you're going to do with it. So I've now decided that my discovery calls aren't going to be free. they are going to be paid. And if they do want to take, if they do process and want to work with us and go through and complete all the onboarding documentation, then that payment will be taken off their first monthly invoice. Because then that way I know they're actually going to be serious and not going to be time wasters. And then that way I'm not going to be in a situation further down the line. If they're already time wasting at the beginning, I won't be having that time wasting session towards the end. So it's, unfortunately, it's forced my hand.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people do it, but it's forced the hand to then make sure that you're better off further down the line.
And how does that make you feel, that your hand's been forced with it?
Obviously, I think it takes the time to, when you're trying to process things as a business owner and you process things, you're looking at everything. I don't particularly like it, but I've had to come to like it and realise actually it's going to probably benefit me in the long run. So I'm happy to do things that are going to benefit me and my time and my company further down the line. And as selfish as that sounds to people when we're having this conversation, I think from when I started to where I am now, I've learned a lot and I've grown so much in other areas that actually, if it was in the beginning, I probably would have felt a lot more guiltier about it. But actually right now, where I've been a little bit more, shall we say, seasoned into being a business owner, I'm not feeling as guilty as what I would have done in the beginning.
And your time is valuable, Stacey, as everyone's time is valuable. And so I guess it would bring in the people that actually are serious. And that's an important thing. They're the clients you want.
You increase the caliber, don't you?
Yeah,
yes.
But also the fact is they're going to get their money back. You're going to take the money off the first invoice if they do choose to go with you. But if they don't, then that's, no problem. It's no problem. But I think that's a really clever idea. Very good. And I wonder.
And I think also touching base on that, when you're having those initial conversations, I think sometimes there are some people, not all, but there are some people who feel that they can take all your advice and ideas and then not have to pay for anything. And it's those that you'll also eradicate, because they won't want to then pay the money up front to have those services, because what they'll want to do is they want to get all the answers from you. You can give answers, but you don't have to give everything away. But it's also as well, as we said, if someone's paying for it, you're getting a serious caliber of a client who will generally more than likely go forward with your services.
100%. I think that's a brilliant thing. I think, it's at the minute, I hate this expression, but it's true. It's this kind of survival of the business. You've got to make sure that you're putting in things in place to make sure that you're not losing any money, by wasting your time. I think that's brilliant. So I tell you what then, what is the vision for Keen to Assist? What is your vision for Keen to Assist?
God. I'd like to retire early, obviously. Everyone would.
I am there with you. I am there.
Exactly. I can see a nice Caribbean beach somewhere.
Done.
No, it's a really good question. So by the end of this year, I obviously, as I've already touched base on, I'm going to be offering a lot more different services this year. That's purely because it's been through collaboration and different services that I would like to offer now. And also something that I can offer. I'm hoping to have, I've already got one lined up, but I'm hoping by the end of the year, or within the next 6 months ideally, that I will have 2 associates on board. So the team will just start growing, and then hopefully I would like to build on that. However, further down the line, I haven't decided on whether I want to move that into an agency or not, or whether I would separate the 2 businesses and create an agency completely separate to the current structure. But with the new services and obviously the different skill sets that I'll have with the associates and the collaborations, the clients will have a lot more services that are offered to them. So there'll be a lot more flexibility with the packages being combined and tailored for them.
Love it. I love it. What a vision.
It's going to be like the utilities warehouse option for VA services.
Ooh, yeah.
That's what I'm looking at.
A compare the VA thing would be fantastic, I think, because if you could, I shouldn't, my brain is whizzing. I shouldn't, but that idea of, I can click this option, I can try this, and what about this? And then, which VA matches me perfectly? Do you know what? It would cut, and you could even have that for VAs looking for associates, so that it wasn't a case of advert adverts go, you say, oh, I'm looking for an associate. You click, you compare the VA service and you're sorted. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that, Stacey. That's a great idea.
Good old pick and mix.
Brain going now.
Yeah, it's the good old pick and mix option.
It's the problem. These conversations, I absolutely love them, but the problem, my head just is like, oh, ideas, Yeah, I'm an ideas person. I have 1,000 ideas a day and barely one of them gets pulled off a month. So, we deal with that. Anyway, okay, so we talked about challenges in the business. We know what your vision is going forward for K2A. So is there any problem that you are needing to be solved? Are you feeling comfortable with how business is going at the moment?
Yeah, at the moment, I wouldn't say I haven't got a serious problem. Obviously, apart from one of the things that we touched base on earlier of obviously people not getting back to you.
Yeah.
I'm really comfortable with the way the business is at the moment and the way that it's going. I know that I'm growing. I know that I'm going to need to build those associates up. So for me, that's where I wanted to be, and I'm hitting the target of when I wanted to do it by, which is part of my goals and vision board. It's hitting all the parameters. So for me right now, I'm really happy. And obviously, if I do have a little bit of a slower time and a downtime, that allows me time more to think and think about my current clients and what they need, or is there another area where we need to be looking at, and it gives me that downtime not only to think but prep and plan for my own business, get everything organized within my own business to be ready to hit the ground running should all of a sudden you have this massive influx, and then obviously you're like, oh, okay, I need to get that sorted. So that's what I'm kind of processing at the moment. The bit of downtime is being worked on within the business to make sure my own business is streamlined within its own processes and systems.
I'm going to touch on 2 points from that bit, right? First of all, that idea about working on your business and not just in your business, that I think is a struggle that every single business owner faces, because especially at the minute, I mean, the amount of conversations I've had, and when we talked about this, Stacey, that, and I think, Emma, we touched on this morning, that it's becoming difficult for businesses to make ends meet, right? So there is not enough hours in the day for them, and the money is not coming in quick enough for them to cover all the rising costs that there is, meaning that the time that they would spend on working on the business to help them gain more income is going out the window because they need to constantly be working in the business. So what I love about what you said is, while things are a bit quieter, while you're finding those clients, to not, to take that time to work on the business, because as soon as you've got that influx, then you can schedule out your time for working on the business, but you've kind of got all your systems and processes in place, which is fabulous. And then I think the other thing then that you said about client retention, like that idea about making sure that your clients are happy. Now this is a lesson that I am constantly learning and still learning. It's something really in the last 6 months that's hit me very hard. But the importance of that is it just, it goes way beyond, even going to find new clients. This idea that, your existing clients are happy to pay money for your services. They already trust you and they like you. Essentially, they are your best marketers as well, because if you're doing a great service for them and they're really happy with what you're doing, they'll bring you referrals as and when the time is right. If you don't have that trust and that relationship, then they can't be your cheerleaders, right? And there's the idea as well that it's trying to make sure that the standard of work is consistently maintained for them, and that I think is a challenge that all businesses face.
Yeah, I agree. I think there are times when, and I touched base with this with you the other day actually, I think there are times when you are, as you said, working so hard in the business rather than on the business. And I think whilst people are struggling in the current climate, I think people also have to take a step back and try and look at things from a different perspective, because you won't have a business if you are burning yourself out working in the business. Therefore, you won't have the business unless you've got the backup plan. So you need to have the backup plan pretty much in place, and you have to work on the business and take that time away from working in the business to be able to get to those next stages. And I think that's really important, and I think it's one thing that I've learn, because last year I would say I was working in the business to get it to the level that it is now, and I think it's become very evident to me with my values, morals and principles as the reason the way that I work, that actually I always wanted to have a Friday where I only worked on the business. But actually what I've done is I let that slide quite a lot last year because I was so busy with client items that obviously I didn't make that time for myself. So now what I've done is I've made that time for myself on a Friday afternoon only from around about 3 o'clock, that I work on doing everything that I need to do for the business, as well as in the slow periods, obviously when I've got that capacity there. But that also helps me keep that client retention in place, because I'm actually thinking about not just looking at marketing new services, but also looking at the client retention and thinking, okay, they actually need to move their hours up, or actually they've grown a little bit, so we now need to tailor their processes and systems, and this is a new idea that I can give to them and see what they think, and we can touch base and discuss it a little bit more. It's really important, and I think a lot of people obviously think that you need 1,000 testimonials to be good at what you do, and actually you just need the right testimonials from the clients you currently have. And obviously you know, you want to keep repeating those within your socials to show that you've got a good rapport with your clients. But I also think it's good, as you said, to highlight the fact that client retention is also very important for people, and especially small businesses. Small businesses, it's really important for people to do that. And for people that don't, when you ask them to do the testimonial and you have to keep asking, it does become a little bit, as I said, you don't want to be that stalker chaser, but you also want forced either. You don't want it to be forced. And you know, it's having that fine line. And I think, as you said, there are some clients that really do work well with people, and there are other clients that just, they want to have the relationship there, but they don't want to build it too far. So you've got to find the right ground as well of where that balance lies. So I think the whole combination of it all together is really intriguing.
It goes to show, doesn't it, that everything just flows. It has to, everything is connected, you know. It's a symbiote really when it comes to business, and how essentially that they're never separate elements, or at least if they are connected, and ultimately they'll decide the success of a business really. So no, it's really interesting just to gain that perspective and view on things as well.
It is, isn't it? I can and you can see it, Stacey, that you really do enjoy what you do, which is really nice. And you're thinking about other people and trying to work out what works for others. So yeah, my next question really is, what do you love about it? And it can be quite general or quite specific,
okay. Well, as you said, I love supporting SMEs who need help, not only just getting organised within their businesses, and so it takes away all their pain points and their issues and their stresses, but sometimes when somebody's within their business, as we said, they're so within it that the admin falls to the back of the task list. But actually it should be, and I'm really passionate about this, because obviously I don't like it when people diss administration. No matter what role you're in, you always have admin as part of any role. And I think both of you, I've said both this to you guys before, you always have admin in any role. However, not everyone likes it or loves it. I love it. I think admin is a calling. And if you are a really organised person and you can keep things organised and running, you're great. But if it's something you don't like and you keep putting off, you could actually be hampering your business from growing. And this is a major problem. And this is what I love to work with clients on, and I love to see. I love to see their business go from 0 to hero just through a few little simple changes. And I think the word simple is the best option there. So when you're looking at like streamlining systems and processes, they could have gone from a team of 2 into a team of 7, and all of a sudden those processes do not work no more, because it's just about scraping them through and they're coping, but they're looking to hire more, and then when they get more in, that breaks. So you really need to think about what it is you actually want and where you're going. And I love taking those businesses from that journey, from their original, as I said to you before, everyone comes in with an original idea, they've got this idea that, you know, it's going to work if they change this, this and this. But actually, because I've had so many years within the business, I'll say to them, well, do you realize that actually if you did that, it's actually going to break this aspect? So you actually need to think about everything for the end result. And that could be we actually adapt their internal systems and processes, or we actually go away and we find something new for them. And, you know, what I love as well is that I get to play with so many pieces of tech. So, and
way too much fun, I'd say. You probably spend
I am a little bit of a tech person. I wouldn't say I'm like an amazing genius and I can code or anything.
I'm
but
with you there. I'm with you.
I like reviewing new tech, and I like demoing new tech, and we take the client from the research, the demo. So what we would initially do if somebody wanted to look at a new system, we would research the top items within their area, and that could be anything from a £20 a month system, depending on what their requirements are, up to an £80,000 system. There's a big bracket between the difference. And if you're looking for a more specialized system, that's when your price increases. Mm-hmm. So it's amazing taking them on this journey of discovery and then figuring out, yeah, I want it all singing and dancing. But yeah, actually, when you say to them, this is the price of it, they're like, you know. Yeah. And it's like, well, actually, you could take this and do this, but we'd have to manipulate the data in a different way to get it processed. And integration. So yeah, I love taking them just from the beginning to the end of that journey. Once it's all done, demoed, installed, teams trained, and then all of a sudden you see the productivity levels go up because they've taken it away from a totally manual process into a streamlined system.
Oh man, that's one of my favorite things to see as well. One of my favorite things is seeing how a manual operation can be made into computerized one, and honestly it's one of the best things ever, especially when you've tweaked it all and it's working beautifully. It's just one of those dream things that I actually worked in a place there in Ireland a few years ago, and I was able, just on my last week before I was moving away, I was able to see something in the process of something that I'd actually brought up to management, and I was just so pleased. It was just so nice. So I'm totally with you on the admin.
No, it's one of them things. I think people think when you come into a role and you're within that role, this is what the company set up, so this is what we do. People just process what they've been taught. They're not actually taught to question the process. No. And sometimes when that process is broken, you can sit and moan about it however you want. But actually do something about it, like you said. Go and speak to management, bring it up, put it into a ideas hub.
I mean, that's the best thing, is go to management, find a fix, and do your research and then come back. You know, I mean, that's exactly what happens, and I think that's brilliant. Okay, I've got another question.
Okay.
What do you wish you had more time to do? Because clearly you're enjoying yourself way too much, but is there something that you have more time for?
I touched base on this before. I would love to be, when I've obviously got associates on board, I would like to be at a stage where actually all of my Friday is that I have the morning to work on the business, and then actually I don't work on a Friday afternoon.
Nice. That's the dream.
That's the stage that I would like to be at. So you work the Monday to the Thursday, you've got all of your items in place, everything's been dealt with for your clients. You know, everyone's done, their hours are done for the week and for the month, or wherever it's sitting within the month itself. And then you can just focus your core items on your business. And then obviously think, okay, I've got the afternoon off, I can go to lunch with the girls, or because a lot of my friends, they don't work on a Friday afternoon, they've got the flexibility, so they, you know, the kids are at school, so they'll go for a coffee. And I think, you know, it would be nice just to not stress and go for a coffee and think, actually I've got to go back now, you know, because obviously I need to work. So it's like, you're your own business. I'm like, yeah, but I need to work to bring the business in, to get the business to work. You know,
it's not quite as flexible as you'd hope always, you know.
No, exactly.
This is this idea of freedom and flexibility. I'm like, no, that doesn't exist at this point in time. I think though that is a really good point, because the reality is that's why we set it up. It's a conversation we have so much, right? That you don't work. You don't work like to work in your business and on your business. Your business needs to work for you, like not the other way around. And that becomes, I think if you're passionate about what you do, if you're a perfectionist, if you're somebody who is constantly looking to help improve client services and your own skill set, what you find is you're just never able to really switch off. So actually that segues to some degree to the next question.
Yeah.
Is there anything keeping you up at night? This is kind of a personal one, really. Is there anything keeping you up at night about your business?
So obviously, as we said, sometimes it is hard to switch off if you've had a bit of a more problematic day than another, and you've got to think about it and you haven't had time. You know, like my husband always says to me, when you don't talk, I worry, because he says, when you're quiet, I know something's going on. He says, you see, you're thinking at your head, you're thinking about something and your brain's ticking over, but you're doing it all in your own head and you're processing like a checklist as you go through. I wouldn't say anything at the moment is specifically keeping me up at night, but I do use a lot of sleep meditation, affirmations and manifestation. So before I go to bed, I always make sure that I actually utilize these, and I put my headphones in and I get my breathing under control, and then I obviously use these. But also, if it is a day that's a little bit more stressful, then I'll use one to kind of manage that in a better format with the meditation. And I think working on your mindset, your meditation, your affirmations, your manifestations are all part of your business. You have to have those in place anyway, because otherwise they're part of your goals, right? That's what you're aiming for. But I think working on your mindset and then using the meditation as a downtime on your mindset is also very, very important, because it can have a knock-on effect, as you know. If you don't get enough sleep, you can make mistakes a lot more easily. If you don't get enough sleep, you're a little bit more grouchy, and you think, right, okay, I'm really tired today, and then you're not feeling as productive, and you won't be as productive as other days. So I think getting that deep, restful sleep is really important.
Yeah.
So like this morning, I woke up feeling on top of the world. Everyone else is for Hump Wednesday, right? So I used a different meditation yesterday before I went to bed, and I literally woke up feeling like $1 million this morning.
Yeah.
And obviously I go to sleep with it on, so it's one for that goes into your subconsciousness whilst you're sleeping, so you're still listening whilst you're asleep. Don't ask me what they've said to me, because I couldn't even remember.
That's what I worry about. That's what I worry about. I'm like,
but it's one of them things where my body was so relaxed and I went into such a deep state of sleep that I actually felt more rested, and I felt more alive to hit the ground running for the day. So it's really important.
I think that is something that needs to be spoken about more, and I know that a lot of businesses they speak about self-care, right? This idea that whatever you choose to do, you know, in your case meditation, I use frequency. Sounds a bit bizarre, but essentially it's like I'd read about how a cat's purr is at the frequency which can help heal, help with pain relief, right? And I'm like, that's the most bizarre thing I've ever heard in my life. But whether it's that or essential oils, you know, if that helps you with anxiety and stress, you know, we've all got our different way, you know, to deal. So it's and it might be that what works for Emma doesn't work for me, what works for Stacey doesn't work for me, and vice versa. But it's finding the thing that works for you, the self-care option. And that might be taking the dog out for a walk. It might be going for a walk around the estate. It might be taking a drive, taking yourself for a coffee. I mean, one of the things I love to do, and everybody thinks I'm weird, is I really enjoy taking myself out for dinner. Like, I enjoy spending time alone with myself.
Yeah.
Like I used to do this before I got married. This is something I used to do I used to take myself out for a coffee. I used to sit in the coffee shop and I used to just take things in. You know, like even the drive back from London yesterday, 3 hours in the car on my own, bliss. You know, this kind of idea that whatever self-care looks like, it's essential to be able to keep you going, because if you don't find something, you're going to burn out. And that's the thing. So I think that's a really important point.
That's a really, really good point, because business, it's not just all about business. It's your life, right?
It can't be,
a business owner, you basically are all encompassing this business in your life, and it's just finding that happy place, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Business, though, but also in yourself.
That's it.
Essential oils are working lovely for me at the moment, so
Good.
I'm rather pleased with it. But again, like you said, doesn't work for everyone. So I'm guessing, you know, what actually makes you happy in life and in business, Stacey, would you reckon it is, or you know, it's a lot to do with the mental health and finding?
Yeah, I mean, for me, obviously, I love being with friends and family. I've always been a very family orientated person. So being with my friends, my closest friends and family, and spending really quality time with them whilst we're all on this planet for such a short time, I really want to make sure I make the most of it. Yeah. But for me, also with that, I can't be present with them if my mental state is somewhere else. So it is actually important to have them side by side. So as I said to you, doing the mindset, the meditation, yoga, anything along those lines, it's really important because it puts me in the right frame of mind to be present with them rather than with them, but not actually being with them. Or present with them when you're having a conversation and they're talking to me and then you're somewhere else in a land of fairies and then you're going, sorry, what was that? You know, there's that type of thing. I think it has a knock-on effect, and it also helps you downtime at the weekend so that you are present with your friends and family.
Yeah, that I need to again, I think this is something I don't feel like it's spoken about enough really when you're running a business full time. You know, I think this idea that you cannot be working, but if you're not switched off, then really you're not really giving your best to the people you love. You know, what is the point of that? You know, the idea that, I mean, I do this all the time. You know, I'm not very good. It's not something I'm very good at doing, is switching off. It's a process that I'm learning and I'm getting much better at it. But, you know, when I go through periods of these ideas, like say 1,000 ideas a day, or if there's a problem that I'm trying to overcome, I can't stop thinking about it. Even if the computer's off and I've shut the door and I can't see any of my work equipment, I'll be sat there and Luke will be having a conversation with me and I'll be like, sorry, what did you say? And that's a really important point, that, you know, all of this stuff, whatever self-care we choose, it needs to help us to wind down, not be wound up, right?
I mean, it's the same with mums as well. You know, it's quite often with parents, if you're continuously thinking about these little people in your life, and you just don't switch off. But it's essential, because even a counsellor told me once, you know, if you don't look after yourself, you're going to be hindering looking after everyone else. You're not going to be able for it. So it's very important. And the same thing applies in a team. When you're working together, is if you're burnt out, it's not going to help the team. So you've really got to look after yourself.
It's a give and take, isn't it? It's it's give and take all the time. Absolutely. Yeah, that's it.
So just to change tack then, curious as to what communication you prefer. What works best for you when it comes to your business? Do you like an email? Do you like a text message? Do you like a Teams message? Phone, face to face?
I would say I don't really have a preference, but obviously if somebody is, you know, we can do face to face. I think sometimes emails can be misconstrued the same as WhatsApp messages, because sometimes people have got so much going on in their brain that when they put it across, it doesn't come across in the best light in the other form of messaging. So I think sometimes when you're speaking to people face to face, as we said, you are away from the hustle and bustle of being distracted because you are face to face together. So I think face to face communication and meetings work better than somebody being on video, because they could be playing around with their email whilst they're trying to talk to you, and you're trying to get an answer from them because you need that answer to process the next step, but you're not really getting that answer because they're not paying attention to what you're actually saying.
Getting the undivided attention.
And then when you go and process it from the answer you've given, they're like, oh, I didn't think we were going to do that. And you're like, no, this is where we had that conversation Friday where we spoke about this and this, and you said, oh no, that was okay. Oh right, okay then.
It's a handy backup, isn't it? It's a handy backup, but obviously face to face is a really helpful way. But if clients were in a different part of the country and they wanted to get in touch with you and look at your products and services, would you rather than a video conference kind of a environment like this, so that you could at least have some sort of face-to-face contact? Yeah,
most definitely. Like for some of my clients, obviously you guys are in Wales. I have another person in Wales. Funny enough, I have 2 in Wales. I have 1 in Blackpool. So you know,
and neither of us have Welsh accent. That's the funny
thing. So you know, and it's that type of thing. If somebody's not locally to be face to face, I will always do the video, unless they specifically said, actually I'm on the road, a call's going to be easier because I can't do the face to face. But if that was the case, then I would generally like to wait to have those conversations to be face to face, especially to have the eye contact, because it's interesting to read people's as well, and the other side of that, when you're giving them options and communication, to read their body language, depending on if you can pick up on people's body language,
social cues.
Yeah, it's another skill set. So if you can pick up on it, you'll kind of know which way they're leaning towards. So it's another interesting way of having your meeting, isn't it?
I get out of that answer, I actually get that you do have a favourite, but that they're all good. They're all good.
They all have their place, but you prefer to be there in person.
They do all have their place and their times, but it's
that's really cool.
Depends what client needs.
How do you find, when with client and supplier relationships, what do you think makes a successful relationship between a client and a supplier?
I think obviously values, morals and principles play a very large part. I would never work with somebody that I don't feel comfortable with, for me. But working with the successful client and supplier relationships very easily is concise communication. You both need to know which angle you're working from. You both need to be on the same page by the end of that. And I think you need to have that like, know and trust, rather than, oh, by the way, you're just an invoice number. I don't work in that way with my clients, and I don't believe sometimes it's different if you're a large conglomerate, right? There's no option there because there's so many thousands of staff. Unless you deal with somebody as a direct point of contact, you're not going to build that relationship with them. But I think for small to medium businesses, I think having that personal touch is what people want. It's what they're paying for, and it's what people like, because we've come so far away from that type of service. If you look at, dial 1 to get through to this number, dial 2 to get through to this area, dial 3 to get, nobody wants to talk to those, right? Or it's like, say yes if you want to go through to here. Nobody likes talking to those automated machines.
What are you calling about? And then they don't understand what you're calling
exactly.
about.
And everyone goes, oh, for goodness sake, and then they put the phone down and start again, and then they get really frustrated. For me, having that relationship and that close-knit communication and point of contact with, as you say, for clients and suppliers and providers, I think is really important, and it makes the working relationship go a lot further.
Oh, completely agree. I mean, I was a receptionist for years, and that it was so nice to not have that automated, but actually to have that personal relationship with people who are ringing every week, sometimes every day. And it's absolutely, I mean, I got to know people's pets' names and everything. And I think that's just a nice thing, because then you just got this nice rapport, and that's just the way it should be. And we do miss that, don't we?
We do.
And I think that's fast paced at the moment, but we do need that.
It is. I think that's very important as well, because I think, as we said, people have lost a lot of etiquette, and this is just another area of etiquette that's been dropped, or times have moved on, and people also think everything needs to be instantaneous post-COVID, because everything went instantaneous, where everyone had to make changes to accommodate what was happening in the world. And I don't think they've realised that it's going back pre-COVID, but everyone still expects you to be that instantaneous kind of environment. So I think having those relationships as well, when you can just say, really sorry, like, I've got pre-messages set, so if somebody's trying to call me but I'm on a video, for example, or I'm on another call with a client or anything along those lines, if they call me and I miss the call or it's coming in, I can actually preset a message and I send it back saying, I'm really sorry, I'm on a call, I'll touch base with you shortly. It's just another way of letting them know I've seen them, I can't deal with you at the moment, and it's just keeping that communication and flexibility open.
That's good. I really like that. Then, like you said there, with that's a part of your process, as something that you do as part of a workflow, and we all like workflows, don't we?
Yes, we do.
we all have unique ones as well. So for different things, they have a different workflow. How do you manage your clients?
So when I'm onboarding clients, I use a system called Dubsado. Obviously, you guys have seen Dubsado, you've utilized Dubsado, so you know what it's all about, but it's a good CRM system. It does so much more as well. So I keep all,
just for people that don't know, if they're watching this for the first time and they have no inkling of business, what does CRM stand for?
Client relationship management tool.
Right. And why that's, I think that's important to note, that there are things in place that can help you makes it processes easier. So sorry, do carry on. Now we know what CRM
so
is.
it, as touching base on back on what you're saying though, it takes away the manual element to be more streamlined and automatic, to be everything's electronically signed. Once that comes back, you get notified, so you can move to the next one. So you can do a welcome pack before you send out the initial invoice. You know, everything's got your branding on it. It just makes things a hell of a lot easier. And then also you can actually integrate a lot more with that as well. So you can integrate your payment system, for example. So my accounting system is it's QuickBooks. So I integrate QuickBooks into that as well. So it lets you guys, my accountants, know when everything's being connected and what needs to be processed. So yeah, I do like a good workflow.
Yeah, and some people, they don't quite understand this side, so they might think, oh, it's all automated, or it's very mechanical, or you're a robot, you're using a robot to do this. No, it's not that at all. It's actually not. Being more efficient with our time.
Yeah.
Yes,
and getting
just being productive.
Things, like, let them get out there so that we can then concentrate on you and your business. It's
and I think
to do with, you know, making it robotic as anything. It's to help us. It's a tool to help.
Needs to be said, because I know I've spoken to somebody before where the CRM system would send out an email each time a part of the process or the workflow needed to change, and they came back and like, well, there's 10 different emails, and okay, so there's a lot of emails that come through. I mean, there's not 10, let's put it that way, there's not 10 anyway, but like the reality is if I was doing this manually, you'd be receiving a lot more back and forth. And that is, if you don't like 4 or 5 emails, you're not going to like the amount of emails I send out. And I don't mean to sound harsh about that, but the reality is like you said, it's all about efficiency. So not only speed, but also making it easy for the client. And what I think from a client perspective, it's recognizing that this is going to make their life easier in the long term for them having to put, to deal with 4 or 5 different emails coming through.
It also makes that process much simpler, like you just said. That there's going to be these questions, there's going to be places, these forms to fill out, and they can put all this information into this, and then we don't have to ask them again.
That's it. It's once.
People are thinking, oh goodness, there's all these emails, but actually this is saving you that time, like you just said, of all the back and forth. Oh, what's your VAT number? What's this? What's that? Hang on, it's all in form. We've got it. We don't have to ask, because we know we've got it because they've replied. But this is the other thing as well, is when you're starting up and you're setting up a client, you need them to know that they've got to please come back to us with these replies, because the delay of getting these replies, I really appreciate it, can be a lot. At the beginning, it's quite an awful lot for people to process, but if they could just go through it nice and systematically with a cup of tea, and just if they can come back to us at a quicker pace, it really helps, doesn't it? Because then it means we can get cracking with their account. So totally get it. So
I also think on the other angle of that as well, like Jess was saying, that somebody was moaning they were getting like 10 emails, even though it wasn't 10 emails. And as you said, you touched base on the fact that if it was a manual process, you would have kept sending emails asking question upon question. But then that's where things fall down in the communication process, because they might answer 3 of those, think they've answered the rest of them, but actually they're sitting there, and you could then be wasting time chasing those, and then obviously items are missed very easily. So
this is the thing, the missed things in when you leave it to manual, like we know, and your system and what your information, what information you need from clients. I think it's a genius idea to have it all in the 1 or 2 or 3 emails.
100%.
We're trying to break it down for our clients to try and make it easier for them as well. Because obviously, so it'll just help the whole process. And once we've asked, like I said, you don't have to ask that again. No, it's true. It's really important, and some people I don't think really understand that, but that's because we've got the admin and the experience to see what is useful and what's not. And this one is definitely a useful tool.
Yeah,
and there are lots of variations out there. Dubsado might not be for everybody, and there's free versions, but obviously you could be quite limited with what you can do on those. But obviously, when you're setting up your business, you might just utilize the free version until you've grown your business a lot more, and then all of a sudden the free version, again, as we said, the systems and the processing need to change because they're not actually working anymore. So again, there's lots of variations out there that will work for everybody.
It's good. So changing tack again, I would say that us as a company, MPAS, Middleton Professional Account Services, just in case people were wondering, how we have a unique relationship with you at Keen to Assist, right? So we're not only your client, but you're also, no, wait, that's the wrong way around. You're not only our client, but you also manage our team.
Yes.
And yeah, and we're very grateful for that. I mean, I'd be singing your praises all day long about that, you know. Absolutely. Right. So here's the question: why did you choose us then at MPAS to be your accountant / bookkeeper?
So I went to an accountant previously to you, and then obviously you and I met on a course. For anybody that doesn't know, obviously, because I've known Jess for a good couple of years now. I met Jess on a course, and Jess and I really clicked. And I was talking to Jess about the accountant I'd been to, and I wasn't very happy. But then the more I was speaking to Jess and getting to know Jess, I loved the way her brain ticked. And then I liked the way that she comes out with things, because she thinks of things outside the box. So this is the reason why I asked you guys to give me peace of mind to do everything for me, because, you know, it's really hard when you're a new business owner and you're getting to learn all the laws of HMRC, and you think, oh my God, I've got to phone HMRC, and you get on that phone and you're absolutely scared to death when you get on the phone to them. And let's face it, when you get that first letter through the door with a brown envelope, everyone goes, you know,
I still do. I've been doing this long enough.
I must admit, to be honest, when I get that, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be a photo for Jess. Wait. But,
I hate a brown envelope.
Yeah, I've got used to it now. Like when you get them, you get used to it. So your initial panic kind of subsides a little bit more, but you still kind of think, oh my God, it's a brown envelope. How much I owe them? How much? But it's kind of like, yeah.
Now you can just go, okay, I'm going to take a picture and send it to Jess.
That's exactly what I do. That's exactly what I do. I'm like,
peace of mind.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Stacey's got peace of mind, and I'm like, oh damn it, what am I dealing with now? Yeah.
No. But
no.
I like the fact that I have somebody that can advise me on things when I need to. And I would say to Jess, like, Jess, have you got 5 minutes? Or we'll book the 15-minute meeting. And I would say to Jess, look, I've got this idea. What do you think? She doesn't just give me accountancy advice. It's actually accountancy and business advice. But it's business advice that's not only going to benefit me and my company, but she's also going to look at the way that it's going to process the money value on the company and the impact it's going to have, whether that be from wages, whether that's going to be the tax increasing, and what we can do to make that more efficient in the legal requirements. And this is what I love. I don't just get an invoice going, yeah, I've processed that, here's my invoice. And there's none of that, as we were saying, that personal touch of having that there and knowing I can say, Jess, you've got 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, it's
well, that makes me happy. One of the things I think I struggle with is that I don't always have the opportunity to reach out to every business every time I'm working, right? And that's the struggle, because you want to make sure that you're being more personal. So I just want to say to people that if you do have things that you're thinking about, questions or quandaries or queries within your business, please drop me a message, reach out, because even if I don't get in contact with you first, I would always answer. I would love to answer your questions as much as I can. You know, it's not, it goes back to that two-way comms, really, that, you know, I might be actually head down, knuckling down with various bits of work, but I'll always try and make the time to make sure if you've got a question, I can answer it. So that makes me happy. Thank you, darling.
Plus I love the fact that she calls HMRC on my behalf. Is even just
I mean,
you're right. I'd rather her do that as well. Yeah. Right.
I have a pretty good rapport with them these days, so you know.
That's why I'm like, Jess, can you phone HMRC?
Yeah, I'll get the answers. Sometimes it's like trying to get blood out of a stone, but you know, we manage. Okay, so just moving on, then, would you recommend collaborating with another business? Because obviously we've got this collaboration going. You're our team manager. I am your bookkeeper / accountant. Would you recommend collaboration with another business? And do you have any tips out there for business owners on making a collaboration a success? What works well, would you say?
Okay, so yes, I do think collaborations are amazing for your business. Not only because you can benefit each other with the services that you offer, as obviously we've got going on, But obviously you could have multiple collaborations, and they can be anything from having a working relationship and a package that you've designed together, where you invoice out and you split in the invoice or anything along those lines. But you could also look at having God, the word's gone from my brain now, but you're
service swap.
Going to pick it. No. So you know when so you get a code from somebody, not a referral, like a referral kind of program. You can have that passive income. If you know you're going to have somebody that you're going to be working with, you can have that passive income coming in so that you can promote somebody else's business. And if they take on the services, the code that they use will then give you that a percentage back. And that's another thing you can do. But I think with your own morals, values and principles, you have to be very careful on who you connect with. I think there are a lot of people out there that do it for the sake of doing it, when actually they should choose people very carefully. So for example, obviously I work with you guys, we work well with each other, obviously I manage the team and stuff, but obviously I have other collaborations that I do. So I work with a tech company at the moment, and I'm working on a project with them, and I actually how I got to work with that company was the fact that I met the gentleman who owned it at a networking event, and it was purely from the technical questions I asked at the end of his presentation that he chose me to work with. And that is how we got to work with each other. But our personalities gelled. Our personalities work very well with each other. And I would say, if you don't just jump into it for the sake of it, jump into it because A, you love it, B, it's something you want to do, but also make sure the personalities fit very well.
That's a really, really good point. Because that's the thing, you could collaborate with someone that you don't know too much about, and then later on it's a disaster. So really good thing, and it's good to remind ourselves, if we click and go with our gut, run with it. But it's worth trying, isn't it?
It's worth trying, but it's also as well, it's a little bit of networking as well, because you expand your network. Because you expand your network via them and their contacts, and vice versa. So it works very, very well. And in these businesses, it's all about networking and who you know. And we all try and support and help each other. If there's something that somebody needs, we do try and say, actually, I've got somebody that I can recommend to you. Here's their contact details. Because actually, when you need somebody, they could say, oh, I can help you out there, being you help me. And it's all about that. It's all about that hand holding and keeping each other and keeping each other on track and helping each other. And I think, as we said, there's lots of etiquette and dying art form taking place at the moment.
It's going back to the old school word of mouth, isn't it? And it's really an important way to do it, because then you're not dealing with strangers, which is really good.
Exactly.
So what would be the single most important benefit that you get from us at MPAS UK? Just curious, because us being your accountants and bookkeepers, what would be the single most important benefit?
The only thing I can say is peace of mind, because I just know it's all being dealt with and I don't have to worry. And if you need something from me, I'll get the information for you and I send it across, and it's just done. I don't have to worry. I don't have to think, oh my God, I need to get this done, or oh my God, am I late? Am I going to get a late charge, or am I going to do this on? I don't have to stress. It's done. Then it's just then it's done. So I'm happy.
Well, that's lovely. That is such a lovely, easy, simple answer. Peace of mind.
So this second to last question, because I realised that this interview is supposed to be 40 minutes and we've already done an hour, right?
Oh wow.
I know.
That really fast.
We've been enjoying ourselves. That's good. That's what we want. The question, if you felt like you needed extra support with your business, would you feel comfortable approaching us?
Oh heck yes.
Excellent.
Hell yes.
That was a good answer too.
I like that one. I like that one.
There is, as I said to you, I would not hesitate at all, because I know sometimes I could come up with a harebrained scheme and I'll go and talk to you and you give me that look on your face and I think, oh God, what's she going to come out with now? Because I know exactly. Sometimes it's a yes. Sometimes it's no, look at it this way, and I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. To be honest, I like that aspect that we have that communication.
Yeah, we got that rapport. But I'm the one usually who comes out with a harebrained scheme, and you're like, oh my goodness, how am I going to work this? Yeah, so I mean, but we've got that back and forth, right? That rapport,
Eye on the wall.
Yeah. To be. I know. Okay.
Well, that is lovely, because our team at MPAS, I mean, we are an approachable bunch, and I like the fact that we are. So I'm very pleased to hear that
It's
you would
good.
Yeah.
So well done. I'm sure Jess is very, very happy with you.
I am.
So I've got a last question for you. Last
Quick
one,
fire.
and it's just for fun. Imagine if you could bring life to any fictional character.
Yeah.
Which one would you choose and why?
So I have two, and they're both very strong female warriors. Because I think we need more strong female warriors in this world. And that would be Lady Sif from 4 or Lady Jane from G.I. Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's cool.
Okay. I like that. Strong female leads.
Strong female leads. Yeah.
Warriors.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's a superpower, right? You've got
Yeah.
I do have in what I also just a little thing at the very end, right? Is that my out of office, obviously it says if I'm not in the office and they need something, they can contact you. And I'm quite happy with the fact that I've got the bit about sort of implicating that superheroes don't have to wear capes, but
that's good.
But they're superheroes and you are. So thank you so much.
Yeah, bless you.
Well, I'm really grateful for your time. I'm sure we're both really grateful for your time.
Thank you.
And we're
thank
excited.
you for inviting me.
That's okay. So it'll be great to see the response when this goes up. But in the meantime, have a lovely day. And thank you very much for joining us.
No, thank you very much, ladies. I can't believe that time flew by us like that, to be honest. So it's been absolutely lovely. Thank you ever so much.
Oh,
It's all right.
Thank you, Stacey. Well done.
Thank you.